Alright guys, hello and welcome to week 2 of the North American Challenger Cup. I'm Zayden here with Hindu 2.0 today. Hindu 1.0, the original Hindu man, is currently in Estonia, getting ready to torture and maim the members of Titan and London Conspiracy over in the Omen Challenge. Joining me today is going to be Ranconius, battling his way through the Australian outback to join us today with all those venomous animals and venomous kangaroos and all those fun things. How you doing today, Scott?
Oh, I just finished fighting off a koala. No, I'm serious. I wasn't actually fighting the koala. It was just his cousin, the drop bear. But we're good.
Indeed. It's also like some ungodly hour, like 2, 3 in the morning for you, so I'm not entirely sure how you're still awake, ready to go, functioning, and hyped up for today's matches. How is that working out for you so far? You just going crazy with the coffee, or what's the deal?
Actually haven't had my first cup of coffee tonight yet. Well, actually I had one about 3-4 hours ago, but waking up late and enjoying amazing Smite. It's is going to be on the screen in front of us. Time to throw it over towards what is actually on the screen in front of us. It's going to be the Thor and Hunbart's Bens coming through for Garden Guys, and Joden walk us through Sir Cat Bologna. This is a pretty centered ban list, but it's left a lot up. Oh yeah.
Surprisingly though, it's not going to be that first pick Athena I kind of would have predicted. It's going to be Neith getting locked in for that first pick. Also, something to talk about going into this matchup. People wondering why Return exactly is 28th seed this week. They had a roster changed. With the Challenger Cup rules going to summer, you have to maintain at least 3 of your original starting members to maintain your seeding points. The only returning members from last week are going to be Cloud of Beyond and Scary D. Other than that, some roster changes. They have Wiggles DeBay from Normie's Leave. Penny also picking up Chris Pocket to round out their roster. So they have some picks, or some new players rather, to work with this week. But because of that roster swap, they did lose their 25 seeding points from their 4th place finish last week. And yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it is a short. They only have 4 more weeks to get those points rolling.
And Wiggles DeBay as well, you mentioned coming in from Normie's Leave, does, I think, remove a large part of that team that was... They ended up finishing 3rd and beating out Return from last week. But then, obviously, with the deletion of points, that means absolutely nothing at all. And that means we're here with the rosters in front of us that we've got. This, I really liked Wiggles DeBay, and I believe he was on the, not the ISIS, the Nemesis. Nem-ISIS, you know, anti-ISIS from last week, actually, in the 3rd place match. But, Athena... Oh, yes, she did get picked up. I was about to say, I'm looking at a Geb, and then I looked over at the other side. Athena and Geb picked up, so we're looking potentially, more than likely, at a jungle Athena, or a solo lane Athena. Don't throw that out the window just yet, but it's into a Sylvanus, this Geb and Neith combo, so a lot of sustain from both of our duo lanes.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'm also surprised as well that Return didn't look for a Bastet, or didn't look to pick up that Athena going into that 2nd and 3rd pick. But as they round out the team composition, they're going for the 3 Guardian lineup with Ymir getting locked in for the for the last picks for Garden Guys. We also glossed over some other picks just to round things out. Isis and Bakasura also locked in for Return, counterbans being Poseidon and Shibalanke. But they're going to lock in Ram for the AD carry over there, and final pick to be taken is looking like it may be the Apollo with the hover on that one, and it gets locked in, so that's finally AD carry getting picked up. Apollo, generally not considered top tier these days, but, you know, with that Heartseeker, with that Audacity passive, he can still be a little bit of a menace in that lane, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. He's got a steroid, and that will make him relevant. Any AD carry hunter that's not running that steroid at the moment is gonna be rather irrelevant. We did see Artemis come back for an extended sort of period of play, but now she's back out of the meta, and Apollo's back in. It would actually not surprise me to see Bakasura and Sylvanus in a duo lane together, and then Apollo on the other side of the map, because that'll make the best use of the ultimates and the pressure that they do have available, and Sylvanus and Bakasura have a lot of kill potential at level 5.
It would actually be an interesting lane setup, because generally speaking, Bakasura does not have the strongest laning phase, especially not going up against what will likely be Neith Geb. Let's face it, Geb realistically can't be run anywhere else. It's been tried a couple times, but as much as people may want Geb to be able to go all over the map, like, say, Athena, he really is just stuck in that support role in the duo lane. Neith has pretty good wave clear, Geb with the shockwave contributes a little bit, but Bakasura, with Sylvanus has some of the best wave clear, especially early on. You give him that purple buff, and like you said, they could potentially run that as their duo lane. But looking at the matchups as they stand right now, actually, I should have had this up in front of me. It is going to be
I'm feeling that's a neith in the mid lane and the Athena in the solo lane with the Ymir jungle. That's how I'm feeling that will line up.
Penny is their hunter, as they checked in today, so it's most likely going to be Apollo over there, and Bakasura in the solo lane role. So there's still always the possibility they can do some role and lane swaps and maybe throw a little bit of a wrench in the machine for garden boys, or guys, boys, people, the garden people. We'll see what exactly Return look to do up against the Garden Guys in this first match of the day. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one. It's 5th seed Garden Guys facing off against who? Partly the previous 4th seed team, now 28th seed due to some roster changes. We'll see how this one plays out in just a couple minutes, guys, once that ghost timer ticks on down. Alright guys, hello and welcome back. It's time for the first match of the day. It's out of the round of 32. Previously, 4th seed Return facing off against 5th seed Garden Guys. Return, unfortunately, after roster changes, did lose their week 1 seeding points. With that said, I'm Zayden here with Ranconius joining us all the way from around the world down in the outback of Australia, surrounded by kangaroos and venomous animals, and yes, I am going to go at this all day long.
I don't expect you to not go at it. What's the best counter to Circat? An Aussie.
Fair enough. Just giant scorpion, giant spider. I guess Arachne would kind of fall into the same boat, although for spiders you kind of have to just nuke them from orbit, so I guess Ra in that particular case. Do giant laser beams from space count as nukes? I'd imagine it's not quite the same.
We're also quite good at dealing with Ra, because, you know, it's so hot over here.
That's true. That said, all banter aside, as the Gold Fury kind of starts swooping her way across this map, let's go ahead and run through these team rosters. On the blue side, defending the Titan of Order, we do have Garden Guys with that lovely basil tag, which amuses me greatly. I love these little cheeky tags that like relate to the name. But that said, Fusion up is going to be rocking that Ymir over in that solo lane. In the jungle, Skilladon playing Athena. Crazy Toaster is going to be playing Neith in that mid lane. In the duo lane, it's going to be Darkarius playing the support Geb, backing up T-Mac on the 80 carry Hunter Ram.
Yeah, and coming into us from the Chaos side of the map in the red health bars, red trunks, and all manners of sexy red things as Cloud Evian picks himself up a red buff. It's going to be Scary D on the solo lane at Bakasura, Wiggles to Bay, Jungle Bastet. In the mid lane, Cloud Evian, we just mentioned on that Isis, over towards the duo lane. Chris Pocket on the support Sylvanus, and Penny is going to be on the 80 carry Apollo. And well, they're playing Sylvanus against the Garden Guys.
Immediately, a bit of an odd rotation command return, starting with those back harpies. Jungler is not going to the solo lane at all right now. Athena finding a taunt on the Cloud mid lane.
And a little bit of poke down on towards Cloud Evian. That's some nice, really early trade. And Neith, obviously, auto attack, basic attack, you know, in hand. She's a little bit stronger at that early level. And wave clears a little bit level 1, 2, until those spells really start to come online for Cloud Evian.
Yeah, mid lane. So this mid lane jungler rotation coming out a bit unusual. The solo lane is going to be hitting level 5 a little bit sooner. Another nice taunt coming out from Skilladon, but unfortunately this early on, there's really not much kill potential from those two guys unless Skilladon can land that shield wall first and taunt them back into it for that second tick of damage.
Yeah, and I mean on the opposite side for Return as well, it's like they've got no real kill pressure until they sort of hit a little bit longer on as well. The Ice is stronger in that early portion of the game, but doesn't clear waves as strong as that Hunter. But she's going to have Spirit Ball combos as we're going to start rapidly approaching that level 5 point. That's where she's really going to come online and look for some kill pressure. And with the Bastet, that level 5 point, it is going to be action around these mid-harpy camps.
Oh, without a doubt. Picking it over at that solo lane, Fusion OP for the time being at least, having a little bit of trouble with wave clear, and Glacial Strike not able to clear that wave in one swoop quite yet. Once that starts to be able to accomplish that, he'll be safer in lane. It's almost like a Loki type situation, or a Yana situation where it's like you have to spend a whole lot of time early on wave clearing. I'm curious about this level 5 that's about to hit right now for Scary D. Is he going to look for that big all-in? It's Skilladon's over that left lane. There's the all-in about to come in. Regurgitate could come out.
And there it is. It's actually going to look to dive underneath this tower. The Frost Breath won't connect, but that's enough harass from Scary D, and that is all he's really looking for on the left-hand side of these mid-harpy cans. Cloud Evian is now in a 2v1 scenario. He's going to get jumped on behind. The Spirit Ball does land, and he immediately gets taunted out. Can this be a first blood? He's dropping incredibly low. Not sure if they'll look to turret dive this one, but the Bastet is there. One more auto attack. It's going to clean it up, but the cats are now down. Skilladon is living with a sliver of health. One more cat tick will do that one away, and now the backflip away. Bastet is going to pounce on in. Could this be a trade double kill? The first blood is picked up, but at what cost? It's 2 kills for 1.
And right now as well, Harpies are about to spawn. That does mean there's a big power play coming out for Return as they're about to pop onto the map. You can see based on that golden experience short, this very, very tiny gold advantage, very slight gold deficit for experience deficit on the back of that 1-for-2 trade. Chris Pocket a bit of trouble. Olympus.
And down comes that World Weaver as well. Chris Pocket will at least get the Wrath of Terror up. The Rama ultimate was there as well. What can they find? Spirit Ball won't land onto Dark Arius either, but now it's going to be on towards Skeleton. The aggression is coming through from both sides here. Response aggression from Return means that everyone will live, but the health bars are significantly favoring them. I mean, it's a little bit early to be speaking Gold Fury, but they'd be the ones that we would be able to take it at this point.
Yeah, that was a rough one. They spent pretty much everything they had except for that Cataclysm from Geb to look for that kill onto, who was that? I believe it was Penny? They invested everything on trying to get a kill on one person. Were not able to find it. Afterwards, it then came to Return. They just blew all their ultimate abilities. We can now look to possibly kill them. We're fighting for the Harpy camps. We still have most of our ultimates. The Catcall from Wiggles the Bay was still down at that point, so there wasn't that available. They had the Circle Protection still in reserve. The rotation from Scaredy from that Soul Lane was also in play. The kill potential wasn't there. The Harpies went back and forth, but Return did a pretty good job of capitalizing. They took the right side Harpy camp. The left side was a little bit contested. I'm not sure who ended up getting that one in the end, but they made good use of that
one. Did go over
one.
to the Garden guys.
They did manage to secure that one. I know.
Yeah, they did secure it.
Skeleton used that Defender of Olympus, so making good use of that ultimate to return back to the fight, but it was still a risky situation with Return getting that double kill just prior to mid-Harpy spawning. It was nice timing for them.
And I mean, on the right-hand side of that, they also managed to donate a lot of XP and gold over towards Scary D. He did share with Wiggles Debay on the right-hand side. Sylvanus was there to contest. I would have liked to have seen the two on the left-hand side. Wiggles Debay preferentially going for the left-hand side Harpy camps with, obviously, Chris Pocket, because they did still have a nice amount of kill pressure. It was Rama and it was Geb, you know, two lower-level people. It's not much at this early phase in the game, but that Bastet is a fair bit stronger. She's just got to work in and around the ultimates. If she can do that, they would have had a fair bit stronger fight.
Yep, right lane, it looks like they might have been considering an invade here in the jungle. Unfortunately, they're going to find that mana buff camp already having been taken by Fusion OP. Now there's just the opportunity for a gank. Ultimates are online for both these guys. Fusion OP going to look for the Frost Breath and does find both.
And now down comes the wall, but it's not going to mean very much. Defender of Olympus could bait this one back out. They're not even going to think about tower diving, and that's a smart move. Ultimate to be burned from Fusion OP as well means that nothing is going to come through. Just a few ultimates on both sides, but when you think about it as well, Return, they've got so many units that can dive underneath and tank that tower between the Regurgitate and the Call Cats.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Right there, yeah. It's hard against Ymir as well, with his Frost Wall, with the Frost Breath as well. There's a lot of time for him to just kind of stop those things from actually getting to him and doing that damage they need to do for the dives. So he'll be okay. Maybe rotate for some back Harpies. Look to stop Bastet from that invade. Left side jungle buffs are spawning and might be under contention here by Return. They're going to pull in T-Max, but a good Stone Shield from Gab will get him back out safely, but they're still hanging around here.
They definitely want to delay them as well, because these mid camps are just about to respawn as we hit that 6-minute mark. Down goes that Shockwave. Chris Pocket's in the front line. Wrath of Terror's come down, landed on 2, and there's 2 members on the backside here as well for Return. Rama's up in the skies. What can he do damage-wise? Skeleton's here on the backside as well. Dark Arius is going to get focused out with that Circle Protection. T-Mac, you're so low! You will live, but not much longer. Skeleton will manage to back away. They're going to get the successful steal and a successful kill at the same time. Right side mid-Harpy camp's going away in the favor of Scary D, and he's going to hop over a wall. He's looking for the left side.
Mid lane, meanwhile, Scary D, like you said, in a little spot of trouble. Good Frost Breath from Fusion OP. Putting that Frost Wall down way downtown to make sure that wasn't getting away. Crazy Toaster will pick up that kill. Harpies are respawning, though, and Return already in position for the left side camp. And they're going to take those really without any contention coming out. Skeleton, a little bit of a bad spot. Preemptive Strike Charge, though. They can't really look to lock her down right now.
They're still thinking about it. There's still so many members that continue to want to go full aggro. Apollo is going to be the one to start up that fire gen. He's just bouncing it back and forth, prepping it up for his team. Geb's going to come in and look for that ward. He's going to plant it right in the middle of the pits. There is vision here, and the guys from Return are going to know exactly about that vision as well. Penny's just poking this thing. He's
lifestealing.
No lifesteal online. He's got the death toll.
Yeah.
He's got the death toll.
Very, very slowly recharging his health and mana. Health, 1 mana per shot, but, you know, every little bit helps when you can't otherwise get to minion wave. Every single camp on the left side of the jungle was pretty much down, so not much else for him to do. Why not poke the Gold Fury a couple times? Maybe they'll come over, say like, oh my god, they're doing it, rush on in. You know, if they don't have wards, they could start it up perhaps. Nothing came of it, so nothing really gained, nothing lost. A little bit of health gain. He gained like 5 mana over the course of that 30-second Gold Fury siege feint. I don't even know what we'd call that, but nevertheless, it didn't hurt to do that, I guess.
I'm just glad that you didn't call it a fire giant as well. I'm glad you called it the right name.
I wasn't going to mention it because I was like, oh, we know what you meant. We know what you meant. I'm not going to give you a hard time about it, but okay. Yeah, you called the fire giant. It hasn't even spawned yet. What are you on about? terrible. Just
Oh,
terrible.
you know, Australian things. Everything's flaming and hot down here. It just Gold Fury just seemed like one of those flaming hot things that might give you more than just a little bit of golden XP. But it's going to be contested right now. Return looking to be the aggressors on towards this one. Right hand side looking for an initiation on towards Galeden and Crazy Toaster. Right hand side of the Gold Fury pit, of course, because I don't want to make any more mistakes, Yoden. We're all over it today.
Penny has a thing for poking the Gold Fury, apparently. Back at it again.
Good thing it's not a fire giant.
Yeah, well, he throws stuff back. The Gold Fury's just like, hey, nope, stop it! That's annoying. No, leave me alone. And he like constant. Fire Giant's like having none of it. He just like throws a boulder at your face and is like, no, you're done. Don't do that.
Okay, well, meantime, nothing really going on here, but let's start to talk a little bit more about hunter builds. I mean, the level 10 spike out of these hunters is so much stronger when you pick up a Heartseeker, but Rama's opted to go for the Dev Gauntlets, and it is going to be Apollo that picks up the Heartseeker.
Yeah, it's a little interesting the way these pan out. It's a pretty big number advantage as far as the Heartseeker goes. It's a pretty big power spike early on. I think the downside to rushing that Heartseeker is that lack of lifesteal, and the fact that most hunters can just say, you know what, you have Heartseeker, I have Devourer's Gauntlets, I just will not fight you for the next 2-3 minutes. Oh, does he have
Crazy
vision?
Toaster charging up, doesn't get the World Weaver down on towards Cloud Deviant, and now Skeleton is going to get caught by Scary D on the rotate, but he's just going to preemptive strike out of there. Right, Harpy Camp spawn, and these ones are definitely going Return's favor, and they've got the spawn timer on the left-hand side as well, so they're going to immediately rotate around. Bastet, though, is looking for some aggression, Zioden.
Yep, gonna be looking for it, but forcing the backflip out from the middle of this fight, it's going to be a little bit of a... No, not misplay. Like, misplay! No, that's not a misplay at all. Just no opportunity to actually capitalize on that positioning from any of those guys. Harpy's respawning. It is going to be Chris Pocket and Wiggles the Bay picking those up on the left-hand side. Cloud looking for something on the left side of this Harpy camp, but Crazy Toaster with a good stone shield from Dark Areas will not find that stun.
Illidan, though, is going to go immediately aggressive and look for something. Wrath of Terror comes out, the cats have dropped, Dark Arius is in trouble. Fender Olympus isn't going to get that damage spike down for Skeleton, he was still locked into the animation as well. Wall's there on the right-hand side to stop Scary D from coming in and looking to dime this tower, but it's not over quite yet. They know they've got the numbers advantage, and that's going to mean Gold Fury because there's one support down. Returner got the advantage.
Yeah, they're just looking to zone these guys out, maybe find another pick or two. In the meantime, they still have to worry about that Ymir, that Shards of Ice could potentially steal that objective like pretty handily. Good pull.
You're gonna get dragged in. Skeleton's in the backline doing exactly what he can, but down goes the Shards of Ice. Cloud Evian gets burst out by that one, and now they're gonna turn and burn through whatever they can. Penny did find Skeleton in the meantime. T-Mac doing what he can, but there's a line of minions thanks to that Regurgitate looking him out from that one, and it's still control over this Gold Fury for Return.
But the Shards of Ice is down. They still have some regular Hand of Gods, Wrath of the Gods as well. Look for the steal. The Gold Fury is going to be stolen away by Garden Guys in this particular instance. As they look for the chase, Cataclysm comes out. They're looking for kills now.
Yeah, Chris Pocket is dropping exceptionally low. Penny's on the backside of this one as well. Rama's in the air. So much chase potential from these ultimates coming through from these hunters as well. They've got so much range on them. They're going to pick up one kill and the Gold Fury. And let's take a look at the experience spike. Wow, look at the gold spike. Over a K out, and now 700 in front.
Yeah, Garden Guys played that one very, very well. Initially, they were down Skeleton, who was able to rejoin that fight once it had... Was that the friend of Olympus? No, excuse me, that was not. I saw it on cooldown, that little diamond. That was not able to rejoin that fight, but it came down to the way they played it out. Return wanted to bait out that Shards of Ice initially. They also had to zone out as best they possibly could Darkarius to stop that Wrath of the Gods from coming in for the steal. They took down that Shards of Ice, but the Wrath of the Gods from Geb was still available, and he used good effect for that steal. Mid lane, Fusion OP in a bit of trouble, but reinforcements are here.
Blink into Wrath of Terror. What can they do here? They're going to dive immediately on the tower, pick up Fusion OP, and now they're going to turn for Skeleton, tanking up the tower, though. They're going to be careful. Regurgitate burning through Skeleton. He does have a preemptive strike to at least put some gap between him and that scary Bakasura. He's got a hog online. He's just going to immediately grab those back camps and then look to back away, look for whatever he can find, but it's going to be absolutely nothing, and so much experience at the same time has been dying here to the right-hand side tower, Jordan. That's how much input Scary D's having towards the mid lane.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing. You look at the levels coming out on those guys as they stand right now. Despite the fact that the minions are just getting mown down by that tower, the fact that he's been involved in so many kills, as has Fusion OP to his credit, they're both pretty much even at this point, but Scary D with that Bakasura gets that innate movement speed after eating a minion. He's able to rotate a little bit more freely. He's been able to capitalize a little bit more on that farm. He's going to take that tier 1 on the right lane as well. Oh, let's face it, Darkarius, Geb, as much as he might have wanted to try and defend that tower, Geb really could not have done a whole lot right there.
Towards the mid lane, a little bit more pressure coming down. It seems like that's going to be the focus for Return now. They've got this solo lane tower down as well. Do expect them to be rotating left-hand side camps, once again spawning. Chris Pocket just auto-attack, basic attacking them away, just to try and save up that experience for everyone else. What can that Spirit Ball find? It's found no one, but Skeleton found a two-man taunt. Chris Pocket just gets burned through Crazy Toaster to pick up that kill on the mid lane Neith. And now looking for the re-engage. I'm not sure Return can chase this one.
They're a little bit scattered going to this. Defender of Olympus coming in. T-Mac is here as well, but he's behind them in lines right now. Circle protection and Wiggles plus Cloud picking up 2 kills for himself quickly. Ram's up in the air, but not looking good. It's 2v4 with the Catcall and all those regurgitate minions on Crazy Toaster. He's going to fall. T-Mac falling to a Spirit Ball as well. There's really not much else on the map right now for these guys to take. Garden guys were in good positioning. They got that good pick, but with all those big ultimates then coming out from Return on the counter engage, Garden guys didn't really stand a chance in that ensuing fight.
Well, on the left-hand side of the map, Penny's going to go and grab himself a bunch of minions, which is all well and good. When you're Apollo, you want to be selfish, you want to go over that left-hand side, sing your wiles away to those minions, pick yourself up some stacks, and he's successfully done that.
Just
talking about minions pushing.
Yeah, just about the... Heartseeker just about maxed back out of 50 stacks. A couple more to go still at this point. But it's one of those things, when you die, you have to get those belt back up. As long as you're able to maintain 50 stacks when the team fights actually arrive, you're not really at any sort of disadvantage from the fact that you lost half your stacks in that previous team fight. With that, looking at the other items being built up right now, we touched on a little bit that Devourer's Gauntlets, Heartseeker difference on those Hunters. Apollo at this point still hitting slightly harder than that Rom. Look at the numbers, 203 versus 213. So actually with that Ichival completed, it's actually in favor of Rom, and that's not even counting the extra stacks of power that he's going to get once he starts attacking.
Yeah, and the other good thing about the Ichival is his potential to box over in this duo lane as well. Apollo with an Uzi, he's relying on when he gets below that 35% health, that's when he'll really be able to box back and forth. But T-Mac's going to have a lot better life steal prior to that point, and also going to be able to shred through his power. Means that his straight up boxing potential is just so much better. Once he starts to get into that later delayed sort of consistent 1v1, that's when the power really comes through for the Apollo.
Yeah, taking a look at mid lane right now, actually. Red Terror coming in on the back of his lane. Crazy Toaster low in health, going to backflip out behind that tower. Catcall drop down, though. Cataclysm Geb trying to buy time, but it looks like Crazy Toaster is going to fall to those kitty cats, as does Geb with the pounce on the return. A bit of a rough spot, that tier 1 looking like it's going to fall. Nobody in position to defend it. They could potentially look for this tier 2 as well right now.
There's going to be continued pushing on the right-hand side. Ymir is still yet to rotate, and that's probably going to be a worry. Wiggles Debay, though, is looking for the aggression on towards Skeleton, forces him away from that tower. Fusion, he wants to come in, but there's going to be no defense, and that's 2 mid lane towers picked up with nothing in response. Still haven't even picked up that solo tier 1 tower over on the right-hand side for Garden guys. They've got to mount a defense, and it's got to be soon, or else they're going to find themselves falling very much behind very quickly.
Yeah, they have to really stop this bleed before it gets out of hand. Gold Fury getting started up once again. Garden guys are just going to let this one go. They're not in position to contend this, as you see Dark Arius right now in the back, just clearing out some Harpy camps. So that's a pretty big push coming out for Return. A 3,500 gold take just on those the back of those few objectives, never mind those couple kills. You can see that gold graph took a bit of a nosedive going back just like 3-4 minutes ago, and just in the past 30 seconds a huge jump going the way of Return. They have a pretty big gold chunk to work with, 1,500 or so on 4 members to go back and buy some nice shiny new toys at that shop when they get a chance. But you know, Garden guys, they're showing good potential, they're showing good fights, but Return are really seeming to rotate very well, find picks, and then turn those picks into objectives.
Yeah, and they're doing really well to notify that they've got the advantage of that the Bastet and the aggression that the Bakasura can put down. They're finding nice picks in the jungle. They're translating them very effectively into those towers. We saw the 2 in the mid lane go down in just like a blink. You know, Bakasura eats through towers incredibly well, is very strong in a split push scenario. Not that he should ever be in that, but that is an advantage that he does bring to the table. Yeah. You know, and this has allowed Penny to sit over here in this in the duo lane and still be able to ult in and be a part of those major fights when and where he's needed. And I see that coming through now in the draft. We might not have seen that in the god picking phase, but it's certainly starting to come through for Return.
There's another thing to note as well. Garden guys are not by any means out of this game. If they don't stop the bleed, they're going to be in a really tough spot, don't get me wrong. Left side jungle, Skilladon gonna avoid the grab, probably be able to get out of this one safely. Cloud still giving a little bit of chase, looking for a possible long-range Spirit Ball. But Garden guys very much have a late-game team comp. They have these 3 Garden lineup, the double Hunter lineup. Hunters take a while to get online. Even now, yeah, you get a couple items like, oh, I can actually contribute to fights at like the 15-20 minute mark. The problem is up against the comp of return, the Isis, the Bastet, the Bakasura. These are all gods who are very, very strong early to mid game, and they're having trouble up against this for the time being. If they can hold on and not really let things slide away too much further in the next, say, 10 minutes or so, Garden guys, once those Hunters are properly online, could really counter back.
Yeah, but there's going to be an initiate underneath this tier 2 left-hand side tower. They haven't actually picked up the tier 1 just yet. Rama's in the air looking for some snipe and some pressure down on towards Chris Pocket. He could be an engaged target right now that they could look for anything off. Spirit Ball doesn't connect. Tier 1 tower in the left-hand side finally going to fall with all that 5-man pressure coming through. But Jyoden, something else I kind of want to point out of this. Oh, blink into that Frost Breath from Fusion. That was huge. Chris Pocket locked up. So much CC coming through, and the damage is on top of it. But is it quite enough? Skilladon's going to be the first one to drop. The damage is still in favor of the guys from return, and that means that 3 have just now been eaten through. T-Mac is still trying to handle the cats. Crazy Toaster, T-Mac still alive. Those Guardians, they initiated well, but the damage, it's not online. Cloud Neviandi solo will manage to finally drop back out of that one, but there's going to be a dive.
Yeah, they're going to look for a couple more kills, plus this tower. T-Mac finds a kill. They're looking for Scary D as well. Not going to find it. Look at Chris Pocket's health right now, where it's sitting. He's sitting up about 2/3 of his health. After that initial initiation, he was sitting down around 200-300 health on his health bar. That fight came purely... Crazy Toaster's actually doing a great job juking around right now, still alive. Geb respawning. Gonna provide a nice stone shield to stop any more damage from coming in. They've kind of stabilized things over here in the left lane for the meanwhile, but that was a big nice one coming in. Skilladon's gonna secure that one. So return maybe sticking around just a tiny little bit too long. They lost a couple on the tail end of that fight, but still 2 towers and a whole load of kills for just 2 deaths. That's pretty worth it in my book.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about scaling as well, another important point that you've got to watch out for is that these Guardians do actually scale incredibly well into that late game in the terms of health. You know, Ymir is about 105, 110, sorry, health per level.
That's
a lot of health. He is already coming online. It's just, it's forcing out a kin size when it's not such a strong item. It did receive nerfs, and for a very good reason, and now he's going to try and burn through percentage health with such a weaker item, such a large amount of gold that he's invested in that. And that could be a problem, but it's going to take another 5 minutes worth of gold generation for the guys on Garden guys to actually get to that point.
Yeah. During that fight, though, the reason I wanted to point out Chris Pocket's health bar in that fight, that fight was lost for Garden guys simply because they had no way of dealing with that healing. It was a beautiful initiation. It was a beautiful follow-up. The problem was after that Frost Breath popped out from Fusion OP, Cloud dropped down the Circle Protection, and it immediately filled up on damage because everybody was dumping everything trying to burst down the entire team. It filled up. He popped it for a 500-600 point heal. Chris Pocket using the Wisp, healing everybody back up. There was nothing they could do to actually stop that healing coming out, and that's what cost them that team fight. Looking at their active slots right now, they really don't have a spot to stick a Weakening Curse in there right now. Garden guys could potentially have shot themselves in the foot with that.
Yeah, and Darkarius, though, he's going to get initiated on Burst Out immediately. This focus now going to turn over towards Skillet, and there's still the Regurgitate. Wiggles Debate did drop down the cats, and now, actually, Cloud Nevian goes way too ham, looking for another kill. The rest of his team will clean up a speed buff camp, and that's going to be it. They're going to look for the disengage, and they need to. Without those major Spirit Ball catches, they don't have a lot of initiate
I love this. I love this. Return don't want to let these guys just kind of sit around. They don't want things to stalemate right now. They're going to force the Fire Giant attempt right now. This fight breaks out. Scary took a lot of damage. Rama up in the air.
Yeah, and he's going to look for the snipes onto the backline of Scary D. Skilladon's got the damage, but they're going to keep running through him, and Rama is not in this fight. He's finally come forward. He's now starting to auto-attack, and that's a problem. Fusion OP is being burst through by Penny, but look at that Shards of Ice and the damage it drops. He's still alive, though, and now they're going to turn back onto Skilladon. Chris Pocket solo. They will at least finally pick up Wiggles Debate, and T-Mac with one more attack cleans it up. And Fire Giant, you mentioned it, it's on the contestant, and this will swing the game so far back in Garden Guy's favor that could have been a huge mistake for Return.
Return were looking still to continue to keep this fight going. They were looking to find picks on the right side of the jungle, but Garden guys were not having any more of it. They turned that into, you know, let's force Fire Giant. When they come in, we can look for the fight. The problem was most of the ultimates were still on cooldown at that point in time. They have a strong mid to early game comp. Cloud getting picked again by Crazy Toaster. The hunters for Garden Guys are starting to come online right now. This is not a point in the game Return want to be in. 4 Fire Giant buffs on the table. Both hunters have them. Those are the guys they care about. They don't care that Fusion OP doesn't have it. I'm sure he's not thrilled he doesn't have that lovely health regen. But the more important thing, that extra tower damage and the extra damage on the hunters right now. Garden Guys with that, they're still at a 3,000 gold deficit, but those extra stats, they're in the lead, item and stat-wise right now.
And the other thing to point out is the fact that you've got Penny, right? It's forced to pick up that chin size. We already talked about that. But they need to be finding damage onto those back guys. Apollo just can't walk through that. He can't walk through a Ymir, a Skeleton Athena. He can't walk through Darkarius' Gab. These are so many targets that he just cannot walk through and assist his team to dive. It has to be a Spirit Ball on towards T-Mac, on towards Crazy Toaster, or else Garden Guys are just going to win every fight from now on.
It really is definitely a possibility. If they can stop either of those hunters getting burst down, even if one of the hunters do get burst down, they still have the other hunter to fall back on. You have 3 tanky guardians to keep them safe. The freeze, the taunt, the shockwave, the cataclysm, the wall, the freeze coming back off cooldown. Any assassin or even Cloud could potentially, with that Spirit Ball, snipe somebody down from long range. They could burst one of those 2 hunters down, but then they're in a bad spot to try and capitalize and kill the other one.
Ooh, Skeleton's gonna be into a 2-man taunt. It's onto the 2 important people. Look at them burn through Peony. Down comes the Wrath of Terror from Chris Pocket. What can they find? Not really gonna be a huge amount, especially with Peony dead. They have no way to burn through these tanks.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a problem going forward. Tier 1 tower falling in that left lane. It's a 4v5 defense now for another 40 seconds. They have no 80 carry to chunk through those hunters, right? Or through the Guardians, rather.
Fusion OP, Blink Forward, and that Frost Breath was absolutely perfect. Piling onto that Cataclysm on the side of that. Darkarius has got Defender of Olympus on top of him to make sure he gets out. Fusion OP slowly being burned through, but it's taken too long. They managed to burn through Cloud Deviant, and now Wiggles to Bay. He's just getting eaten alive as well. Crazy Toaster, what can you find? Are you indeed running on a Crazy Toaster, or are your opposition going to be the ones that are living on the Toasters this day?
I was just gonna say, poor Fusion OP. He's so low on health, has no Fire Giant buff to heal himself back up. It's a tough spot to be in. The 2 hunters, actually the Skeleton, that's an Athena, never mind. Crazy Toaster finds one, just completely obliterates Scary D. They're looking to lock down Chris Pocket as well. Magi's Blessings would offer a moment of reprieve. Penny's coming in from across the skies, as is Wiggles the Bay. They're trying to find something, but Crazy is still on a rampage.
Yeah, and this isn't quite over yet. A 2-man taunt makes them face up, and that makes it so easy to attack them when you're a hunter. And look at that World Weaver to finish it off coming through from Crazy Toaster's neith. That means Phoenix #1 is going to be definitely going into the ground. And they've got the tanks to turn and go for Phoenix #2. Fusion OP was looking for that blink freeze, but he's not going to find it. They're going for it.
Titan's health is dropping rapidly. Fusion OP looking to charge that Shards of Ice up for the big chunk of damage. Not going to be able to. Cloud doing a lot of damage back right now, but the Titan health is dropping rapidly. Cloud 1v5. Going to find 2 kills on those tanky Guardians, but it's not going to be enough. The Garden Guys coming out strong against the new lineup of Return. They played this one well, but Garden Guys got that 3 Guardian, 2 Hunter composition online, and seemingly there was just no stopping them.
Yeah, look at the damage that those guys did. If you have a look at the stats and the numbers, I'm pretty sure right now it's going to say that Crazy Toaster did some crazy amounts of damage. Yeah, 25k, 25.5k player damage. When you look at the opposite number, the 80k on the opposite side, Peony, 16.8k. And when a mid lane hunter is doing more than your hunter, and your hunter picked up a chin size to make sure that he could attack those tanks and actually do decent amounts of damage to them, that's a problem.
Without a doubt. I mean, Garden Guys, I don't want to say necessarily this game was lost in picks and bans. The team composition going back and forth. They had the comp if they kept the momentum going up early. It was a couple little missteps by Return there towards being that first Gold Fury steal kind of kept Garden Guys in the game. Had that not happened, if you looked at the graph back prior to about 10 minutes ago, it was a pretty steady decline with the exception of that Gold Fury in the wave Return. So that Gold Fury was what it took for Garden Guys to stay in this game and keep themselves kind of shredding water until the point they were able to get those hunters online and just start shredding through the entire Return lineup. You can look at those damage numbers as well. Crazy Toaster, 25,000 damage on his own on an 80 carry with really only 1 tanky target on the enemy team. That's a lot of kills. He actually closed the game out 10, 3, and 9. So like you said, big plays from him. And, you know, gotta give credit as well where credit's due. Those Guardians doing work to keep him alive and letting him do that.
And positioning as well from himself and T-Mac. That was on point. You can see Penny was trying to come forward and trying to go through the CC wall of the Guardians that were in front of him, between him and Crazy Toaster and T-Mac, and he just couldn't. Cloud Deviant, he was trying to go through that, but he died every time.
Yeah.
And Wiggles to Bay, Scary D, they were the only two that could successfully do that, and once they got to a point where the rest of the team was able to back them up, they couldn't do that anymore.
With that said, guys, that's going to wrap up the round of 32. Garden guys going to be moving on to the round of 16 here in just a few. We'll be back with another game for you guys to watch in a little bit, so stick around. We'll be back as soon as we can.